When you lose your job and you say goodbye for the last time to all your colleagues in the office, a lot of your colleagues will say to you, "Oh, sorry to see you go. We're going to miss you. Let's keep in touch." And they probably mean it. And maybe for a week or so afterwards, they give you a call or more than likely text you to see how you're doing. But very quickly that disappears. The friends that you thought you had, your colleagues, um, who you may have worked with for 10 years or more. In my case, I was with my former company for 11 years. And you kind of think that you've got a friendship, a bond between those people because you've worked with them for so many years. If you've worked in an office and you've worked next to them every day, if like in my case, I worked remotely. And so I'd maybe see people 4 times a year, sometimes 5 times, because there'll be a quarterly meeting off-site somewhere, then a holiday party. But when you leave, you don't hear from them again. You might get the odd comment on Facebook initially and likes on Instagram or whatever social media platform you're on, but even those after a little while tend to disappear into the void. And it got me thinking, it's kind of bizarre that you spend all those years with people who you really get on with, you laugh and you joke, you get each other's in-jokes, and then suddenly you take work out of the equation and there's nothing left. Now, that's not always the case. There are, from my former job, I think there's actually only one person who I can think of in somewhat regular contact with. And he actually lost his job probably about a year before me. But when you lose your job, and particularly if you've got a spouse or a partner that's working, it can feel lonely at first. You're used to getting up in the morning and leaving to go to the office or grabbing your laptop if you work from home, and suddenly that's taken away from you. And there's no more Slack messages going off. And you're checking your phone for email and text messages, and all you're getting is junk basically coming through. And it does feel really isolating at first. And I get it because I went through exactly the same thing. And even now, and it's been coming up to a year, next month, it'll be, in fact, it's about 3 weeks' time. It'll be exactly 12 months since I lost my job. I use Slack for my business, for the channel. And the weird thing is, every so often the Slack message will go off, and straight away I think of my old job. Well, what can you do about this loneliness? It's real. It really is real when you don't have that connection with those people anymore. And I think as you get older, particularly, when the kids are growing up and they've left home or gone to college, maybe they've got married, and it's just you and your spouse, that the loneliness can really hit hard. And also to the point that, it's not easy to make friends. But going back to what I was mentioning about the spouse thing, your spouse goes out to work every morning, perhaps, and you're at home, and it's kind of like a weird scenario. Maybe your spouse or partner has to-do lists for you, but you haven't got that routine that you used to have when you were working. But here's the interesting thing that I've kind of thought about, and that is, when you're younger, say in your 20s, even younger than that, but in your 20s, possibly 30s, before family, basically, you can have plenty of friends. A lot of them could well be acquaintances more than friends, but you know a lot of people. And out of all of them, you probably have a good few number of friends. But as you get older, I think, this is from my own experience, is that you don't have as many friends as you used to have. And it's not that it's planned. You don't, well, I don't, think, well, I'm not talking to that person anymore. You just kind of go your own separate ways. And that's what happens. It's kind of like nature, if you know what I mean. But the friends that you do have around you still are the important ones to focus on, especially if you've lost your job and you are feeling somewhat alone. You should reach out to those close friends that you have and maybe get into a habit of seeing them. There is actually an interesting stat somewhere. I can't remember the numbers now, but it talks about, men and women losing their jobs after 50, and men have a more harder time with the adjustment than women. I'll try and pull up the stat if I can find it, or the quote on the screen here so you can see it. But it is very real, and if you're over 50, I think you can understand exactly what I'm talking about. And I don't know how I feel about, my former colleagues. I've got nothing bad to say about them, don't get me wrong about that. But I just find it sad that we lose contact in the way that we do. I think that's very sad. But at the end of the day, I think someone called it, your friendship was based on proximity. And let's face it, I mean, when you join a company, you don't choose the people you work with, they're there. So some people you get more closer than others. That's natural. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I thought I'd share them with you. So if you are over 50 and you've lost your job and you're feeling like, you're kind of alone, trust me, you're not alone. There are plenty others too, including myself. There's a video up here, or maybe here, that YouTube is going to recommend to you to watch. So please do. And until the next time, cheers.